Record. All right. So Rob is on the line. Hello, Rob.
Hey.
Hello, Mix. Hello, darlings. Hello. Are you guys being destroyed by your baby?
Yes.
Yeah, destroyed.
Your baby Jaws creature.
Yes. Sharky. Crazy.
Your sharky baby.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's like a miniature Jaws.
Yeah, I could have warned you that this little child was going to turn your life upside down.
Yes.
Is it a dog?
Yeah. Tiny little blonde Spartacus dog.
Yes. Spartacus is the warmonger. Yes, I think that's correct.
Anyway, guys, so welcome. We're nice to have you. Are we going to have you on video or only on sound? Are we going to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Oh. She's asking.
Oh, what did you say, Amanda? There?
Oh, are we going to see you on video or just get the sound? Just get sound.
Yeah, I'm just sort of sitting, having my coffee quick.
Okay.
My usual. So I'm just going to chat a little bit, and we'll be on. Yeah. Okay.
You're welcome to drink your coffee.
Okay.
And arrive.
And then mixes a little bit more coffee on the stove right there.
Okay.
There's my cup.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right.
All right. So we're going to have a video. Are we going to do a video?
Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome.
There you go.
Hey, and there's Yolandi as well. How's it, Rob?
Oh, yes. For me, it's good morning.
Good morning. Good early morning for you. Rob does the American hours.
Oh, okay. But you're in South Africa?
Yes.
It's a bit of an illusion that he's here. He's more there.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like a man who tried to live life in two places at once, to be in two places at once all the time.
Totally. The man who lived in two places. So this
My father used to say to me, yeah,
I just wanted to introduce Gail and Yolandi. You're going to be joining us today on our little Zoom conference. This is Rob Mercury, the fantastic bilocated individual, and his partner Mix, and the dog who's Jaws.
Yeah, you'll see the dog.
Hello, little baby. Oh my goodness. Hi.
Yeah.
Oh. You'd
And
never think that something so small and so innocent looking could create such destruction, eh?
It's fine. You have to be patient and loving, and what else? I think the word unconditional really comes into play now.
Yeah, just put a muzzle on him for a few minutes, just so that you can have a few minutes without being eaten. Anyway, so Rob, thanks for joining us. I know it's your early morning, and I know that you only really normally get going a little bit later. So I'll just give you a little bit of a catch up of the themes and kind of what we've done so far, and then we can just see where we go. So I decided I wanted to do a little bit of constellating, sort of tapping in around the Q village, and that Q village was really your term, the Q village. Looking into who is Q and sort of what's happening on the ground, and what can we do in terms of getting a little bit more direct information around that. So we just did a little bit of a kind of like a constellation around Q, or on the ground and the off-world Q, and got some really quite beautiful information, but I'll share that on a separate video. But I thought maybe we could just, I don't know if you want to hear a little bit from these two that have just done that little piece of work, what kind of information came through. I don't know if you'd be interested in that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm still go find my pen, my clipboard, because I'm always using it.
Yeah, you can take a bit of time to arrive, but so then we'll we're going to ask you a few questions as well, if that's okay.
Yes, absolutely, we can do that. Sure.
All right, guys, so do you want to summarize a little bit of what we got? Not so easy, very powerful and powerful
you
consciousness.
can summarize what we said.
Yeah. I think you should summarize it, because I felt quite out of it at one stage. I can't actually remember everything.
The off-world Q energy was very, very strong. It felt like an ascension channel. So it was, it just came in like strong but slow, and then it just felt like we were being lifted up like this, right? Very, very powerful ascension energies. And part of the information that we were getting about Q off world is sort of think beyond time and space, you know, go beyond sort of the dimensions, even that kind of thing. So this is like very much beyond 3D, and like an energetic transmission. There was a lot of this very strong bright sort of magenta, pink and white light, and the message was work on expanding your minds, really opening to understand much more beyond the bounds of time. That's really the work that we have to do at the moment, that it's not so much about waiting for somebody to do something for us, but what work are we doing on our own as sort of ascension process, you know?
That's a good call, Amanda. That's specific, you said, to do with the mind, and then it actually really is a lot to do with the mind right now. You're right about that.
Yeah, so it was a very beautiful transmission, and it's lovely to be a part of it. So this etheric army of light, and the Q on the ground was really, there was a number of messages. Hey Gail, it was like this, seen as this network all around the world, both as this group being us and others also in so there was another image of black suits and ties. So I'm not really sure if that's like Trump and Melania. You know what I mean? Like the ties and the suits, you know. And then it was a party. So on the ground was this network, then the black suits, the ties, and a party. Those are kind of the three specific parts of Q on the ground. So we did Q on the ground and Q off world, and those two were working together. And it was really beautiful and really strong. So all these messages around accepting responsibility for our own lives, working with truth, you know, which is very much what you've been working on, Rob, the movement of the truth effect. And maybe we can chat a little bit about that, because I am loving that. And you've done a lot of work around the predictions of the truth social coming in.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and then this whole idea of moving beyond time space, you know, through what the message was for now was like this, almost like a wormhole that we go through as we leave this sort of third dimensional experience of ourselves. So those are just some of the things that we were picking up.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to come in a little bit like around your work at the moment. I know you've done really unique work around I know you work, you identify yourself as working for Q. You're with Q, right? You get direct orders from Q. Do you want to say something about that?
Well, it's like, it's like getting orders. If you've got, with responsibility, you know, comes, you got to produce something, you got to do the work, you know, and the work is actually pretty tiring. It's you know, Q moves very fast. It's all over the place, and you've got to try and keep ahead of it. And you've got to also be like the idea is to promote, Truth Social, that network that's coming out now. And Trump needs us now. That's what he says now. It's coming on in March. He needs us in March. He needs us now. I said last year that the first quarter of 2022 is when the action's going to happen. Movement of the, like we're going to have an opportunity to organize ourselves better. With on social media, or just using a platform to, just to organize ourselves in a better way. And the road to, I had a board that I did on the 12th of October. And that was when I predicted the truth movement. The 12th October. No, the first one was the 22nd of September. Okay. Okay. Well, the original challenge I put out down to the internet the 22nd of September. What is the name of the app? What is the name of the app? So I said, okay, I challenge anyone across the internet to give me the technical definition of the word truth. Was that next September what? September 22nd, huh? Yeah, 22nd. So, and then I said, it's got to be the technical definition. I said, you can go through the Thorndike and the Cambridge dictionary or whatever you're using, Webster. And I spent years paging through dictionaries, years, literally, a lot of studying I've done to kind of clarify stuff. So then I left it at that. I said, okay, fine, good luck. And then I got some comments below the video. I said, okay, well, there you go. And that's just when it came into light. That was when it started to, sort of get the idea, okay, this is what I have to do. So I just did that. And then when was it mixed? Then it was in October.
Yes.
So I left it from September to October. And then what is it? The date's on the laptop. Yeah, if you could just open up that page that says truth. It's a Word document on the desktop. I did it last night. I was preparing for this thing. And then on the 12th of October, I did Games Effect 1, and on the board, I put here is what above I had the goal of man, because the goal of man really is kind of a not known thing. And that's what Games Effect is. It's quite a sort of funny thing. So put Games Effect at the top, and goal of man along the top of the board. And then I said, okay, now I'm going to give you guys the definition finally. And I put their time, the time when something happened, all about the election, and then all the things that orbit around that election. That the broken election is kind of like it's actually watch my words on for YouTube. Is like the sun, everything orbits around the sun. All other things also very significant. That kind of pulls the whole thing together. So it's the time, the place, the form, and I said, including the exact consideration, which is really important. The exact consideration, meaning the correct consideration, is that if truth is a broken thing, then man will never know what his goal is. It's almost unrealizable. Man is now what Q's mission is. It brings everybody up to a point of they realize they have this perception, this actual perception of knowing that there's something they don't know, that they should know. They should know this. Supposed to know this, but it's not. It just somehow isn't happening. So that's why the goal of man is to discover the truth, and that's what was illustrated on the whiteboard. That is the next step. So as much as we, yeah.
So Rob,
yeah.
So your work has been a lot around. So your remote viewing is like a lot around helping people to discover what is true, what is happening, what is truly happening, what is actually going on, right? And so when people watch on your YouTube channel, they can get direct intel as to what is happening, because we've had so much, bullshit, basically.
A lot of it, yeah.
A
lot of.
And trying, the cabal move is trying to keep the wool over everybody's eyes so that they can have their agenda or their game play out. And part of your work as part of Q and part of the Q movement, right, is to try and surface what is actually going on so that people can have access to the actual event, the place, the consideration, the time, etc. Right? And that's that information. Once people have it, then they're kind of in line. They have a kind of a truth alignment.
Yes, they have an anchor point, like a ship with a large chain that throws down an anchor.
And then they can make some choices based on a clear consideration. And then and part of what you've been putting out is like trying to help people understand what is the game, right? What is the game of the cabal? What is the game, the effect of the cabal's game? And then how do we get out of it?
Well, we're basically going to be like a very large, we're going to be we are doing the opposite to what the CIA is doing. CIA is creating lies and creating counterintelligence, and we are the intelligence that's combating that. So the game effect is we with all of the hundreds of millions of us versus a couple of paid clowns have to see what happens with that. Because we're seeing, like I explained, it's two forces that are in collision. And the one is the counterintelligence and the other is the intelligence. We are the intelligence. So we're going to work out and dismantle everything. And so you get truth on the Truth Social website. You're going to have truth. People are going to post truth and then you can read truth. So what means is that if someone can validate that, you're going to start you're going to start filling the boots in the sky. You know, you've got this like pair of boots in the sky with wings on them. And the boots it's the freedom.
Your freedom boots.
Freedom to be true and the freedom to say what really happened and for people to listen to you. And there's been a lot of injury, a lot of damage. Like the damage is vast and the injury and all those injuries and things are vast. And so it's as serious as it is, but still a very heavy game, probably arguably one of the worst games you could ever play in this universe. It is so out of control. Like I said, on the whiteboard tells you everything. It's out of control. It's gone too far. This is a rescue mission. This is a mission because you have a prison planet and the wardens that are supposed to just leave, more or less kind of just make sure that the prison planet stays a prison, then decided, oh no, we're going to take over this prison and make it our own. So the guy that runs the prison is gone, and they've decided to take over and to, oh, well, we don't need these prisoners. What do we need them for? We own the prison. Now we'll just exterminate, okay, you use the words, but entities, because,
And so, I mean, one of the weapons in the game, right, is because it's a game of consciousness, it's a war of consciousness. One of the things that they have done is to knock out every opportunity to communicate with each other, right? So shut down all the truth speakers.
Yeah, it really,
channels, every edit, every word that could indicate any kind of truth. So now
Absolutely.
The reason why it's so important that there's this truth platform that's coming, and I do think that there's a good chance that we're going to have a blackout before it comes on. There is a warning of a blackout. I don't know if you've seen anything like that in your viewing, but it would make sense that maybe, I mean, I don't know if the social media codes have been shifted already in order to sort of realign the, what do you call it? The algorithms, so that they don't edit out and reorganize every word. But I mean, we really need a space again, that because Twitter's been, totally edited, Facebook's totally weaponized, every platform was shut down. Anytime anyone says anything on YouTube, it's knocked out, the videos get knocked out. So complete complete censorship. I mean, it really does remind me of like when we were in during apartheid, right? Where you had to make plays in order to communicate. You had to make a play. You had to make a theater, you know, so that it's as if something is happening, but it's not really happening. But in fact, this is the way that you have to portray your message, you know. And that's
I can say something about this thing. It's all about agreement. Like what you're saying, Amanda, you're totally correct. It's like you have to sort of try and communicate in a funny kind of weird way. And I mean, it really was like that. I mean, I remember when I was a student then, and I mean, my one friend's mother was very, very heavily into trying to, you know, get people to the idea that South Africa has to change or whatever and all this. And so I was always around her, and she was running off to meetings and doing this, and she created all these, actually just printed T-shirts and Freedom Charter T-shirts and everything else. It really was us trying to get ourselves into a better form of a constitution. You know, we all know about the constitution stuff. So the thing is that, I mean, the thing is that we need the agreement. We don't have agreement right now. We're standing alone. The world doesn't agree with us unless it's across the satellites around the world. And only then is it official, because, you know, it gets acknowledged by the big players in the media game. So the thing is that we don't have that agreement. There's so many of us. There's hundreds of millions of us, but we don't have that agreement. It's very odd. It's a strange phenomenon, having hundreds of millions of people all over the world, all doing things, you know, in the street, doing this, doing that, and there's no agreement. So the agreement is on its way. And now we are going to see, okay, this is what we can do, because we are the solution to, it's the people who are going to do it. We are going to get the gold medals for doing this. You see, it's not like Mr. T doesn't want to be the
second coming of Christ. He doesn't want to be the savior.
You know, we are the horsepower. And then you think, how can we be? We just like nobody's. I mean, what do? We eat sort of cheesecake on a Saturday and we go visit our grandparents on a Sunday. How can we change this world? It's not possible.
It's a bit like Lord of the Rings, isn't it? It's like Frodo has to take the ring, okay, and get it into the Mount Doom or wherever. And it's like, well, he's just a little, you know, hobbit. That's us. We're the hobbits.
There's so many beings in this world that just say, what's my purpose? You know, what am I doing here? I don't really fit in. Well, the world isn't designed to have you fit into it. I mean, you don't, you know, when you're supposed to, I was doing a session on somebody last night, a guy in Canada, whatever, and I was saying, you know, yeah, I know what you mean, because, you know, you get born into this world, and then as you start to sort of grow up, you realize, you know, it's like the sort of happy dog that wants to go and greet everybody, and not everybody wants, you know, that kind of thing. It's like suddenly you realize, well, you know, it feels like you kind of don't belong here. You get, you know, that's why sort of teenagers tend to go, but, you know, let's say become rebellious or whatever it is. They end up just realizing that they live in a place that really doesn't really make them feel welcome. There's something funny, you know, because they're still young. Maybe they're 13 or 14 or 12 or whatever, and they get this idea like, you know, maybe the world's not such a happy place. And I mean, who wants to, you know, and then the place that you live in is going to end up charging you rent, you know, to live here. And there's a place you're born in. It's going to, all right, now you got to pay rent, you know, for arriving. You just think it's like bizarre. You don't know what's going on. Spend half a lifetime just trying to figure out what's really going on and who's going to, you know, there's some people out there that are very badly that have a real infection, if you put it like that, like of the mind, you know, just not good people. And they will drag you, you know, under their thumb. And this is because the cabal is in power. They have the agreement in this world. They have the agreement that that kind of behavior and that extortion and whatever, embezzlement and all this corruption is kind of like how the game is played. It's good for business. You can rip somebody off and you can get away with it, and that guy doesn't have any money for lawyers. It's good for business. It's like, really? Is that the skill that we're, you know? And some beings can't operate like that because they realize they're going to lose power. A being can lose power if they go against their own ethics, which of course it's not written on the wall, but you know, it's there. It's part of you. It's like that God consciousness. You will lose it because you end up withholding yourself, knowing that you you know, did something bad to somebody else, feel bad about it, and then, you know, it gets out of control, and then you withhold yourself, or you minimize, you know, end up sort of going around making, you know, becoming a worse person. And some people have had to rescue themselves in this world, you know, they've gone down and then up, you know, because you also have this thing where sometimes you break yourself down to nothing in order to find out that's not the right way down. And then you say, okay, I'll try this way again. And the world's a confusing place. You know? It's not fair. Yeah. And so that's what the truth movement is there to like remedy.
So, Rob, if you had to just give us a summary on who is Q, how would you answer that?
Well, Q is, like I said, intelligence versus counterintelligence.
Okay.
It is the thing that's causing a problem. Now, if you take a problem, what is the anatomy of a problem? The anatomy of a problem is force counter force, intelligence counter intelligence, intention counter intention is the anatomy of a problem. A problem, by its own definition, is something that is pushing against itself. And what happens is that is then a force. It's its own force. It then becomes suspended. When a problem doesn't go away, can't be gotten rid of, and this side pushes harder, and then that side pushes harder, and that kind of thing, they're still suspended. And when a problem like that is suspended, all these beings end up seeing it and realizing, oh, somebody's pushing back against the problem. When there wasn't resistance before, so the cabal's like, oh, you can try and do what you want, it's fine, you know, white hats, whatever. We've already won. You know, we're just gonna do the nuclear thing, you know, third world war or whatever, and, you know, precipitate an event, destabilize the Middle East, and create this huge thing. And you know, the idea is there's popular poison out there. And so this thing creates, it starts to suspend. The problem is suspended in space. And the more you try and solve that problem, when beings become aware of that, oh, there's somebody pushing against, then like a problem is like the cell phone. If you have it, and the more you try and solve it, the more you try and solve this problem, you start looking at what's going on here. What you know, what is really going on? Nobody actually knows. Is it upside down, back to front? And the more your attention is on it, the closer in its proximity it comes to you. It's closer and closer and closer. So the more, until eventually it's sitting here, stuck on your face. Like this. This is the one video I had a brown paper packet, the thing stuck on my face. And that's eventually it's like this. It's like stuck right on your nose. And then that is actually what has occurred now. So I mean, it's not easy. We've got this big thing stuck in our face. It hasn't got an explanation. It can't be understood properly, but it's a problem. It's suspended in space.
So it's enslavement. It's an enslavement equation, right? That is stuck on our face. And until we can see it, how has it happened? Yeah. Who is it? How do we, you know, how do we recognize it? How do we get out of it? You know, what do we do next? We've got to, that's the way out, right?
Yes, you see, the way out is time, place, form, and event, and exact consideration. That is the code. That's what we are going to be decoding. We're going to use, that is the toolbox. That's why truth is, like I announced in October, and then Trump announced it, 7, 8, 9 days later. I'm going to call it truth. It's yes, exactly, you're going to call it truth, mate, because it's time. The time something happened, the place something happened, the form that it happened in, and the event that took place as a result of that, along with the exact consideration. If the consideration is not exact, if we don't exactly have it, exactly as it is, we won't have it. We won't have that. And we're going to dig and dig and dig with that toolbox, which is just given us. And March is going to be when the big, massive generator is going to get turned on, this big powerhouse. And then we're going to have hundreds of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people pouring into truth, like hundreds of thousands every day. And that's going to be from all over the world. All over the world, they're going to pour in there, and they are going to create an army of people that are crazy, who just want to smash out of the way this force that's trying to put up a huge curtain don't look behind the curtain, putting it up, and that is the curtain of counterintelligence. Counterintelligence really by its own definition actually just means a person who creates a lie that's so believable, or an illusion that is so excellent, it's wizardry, it's so well crafted, that they feel that if you looked for the truth, that you'd realize it was this conspiracy theory and that there actually was no truth to be found. It's like there's no truth to be found. It's like it's in your mind, man. You're having this application that we are in now is a psychiatric application.
That's what you say, and that's the next chapter of the game, right? That they're trying to bring about. So it's like, okay, none of you know what you're talking about. None of what you think is true. You can't access the truth because everything that you think is nonsense. And not only that, but you are now crazy. You are completely crazy. So they're going to now force, it's the perfect MK Ultra program, which is like, torture everybody, make them think they're never going to survive, then give them an option to possibly survive if you do X, Y, and Z. And then just continue with absolute, confusion and counterintelligence, as you say. And now, so this next arm of it is what did you call it? The psychiatric thing.
Yeah, we are not aware of it. I don't know if any of you others have come across, but you get that strange feeling in your gut. It's like a feeling of like, you say this and you do that. We've always tried or whatever, and they've always said no. This guy's like the ufology got trampled on. All these people have been trampled on. Bill Cooper got assassinated. All these truthers have been, Phil Schneider, sort of met his end, and it's he didn't even really care. He's like, I don't care if they kill me. They kill me. If they don't. There's a doctor in South Africa who really holds the world record for the.
Here's the helicopters. We have endless helicopters.
He helped people with snake bites, and he really did an incredible job on C-19. Everything. He decoded the whole thing. He worked it all out. He holds the world record, I think, for the doctor that treated the most people, helped the most people by himself personally, one-on-one, actually was there helping this person, regardless of whether they had been bitten by a snake or not, this sort of thing. He helped all of them, and not one of them ended up on a machine, to help them, or died. So you find me a doctor that can do better than that, because he cracked and he explains to you how it worked. And he said, this was created to divide people. The division bell. Division bell is Pink Floyd, a band that knows the story of man, that knows how man has been crushed and has been kept like in chains. The slavery. Pink Floyd know the answer to that. They've been singing about it for years. They understand. It's the only band that I've ever really come across that directly is telling you that
about it. We don't need no force control. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. This whole thing is so unbelievable and so convoluted. And you're talking about a tremendous amount of force here. This is not some little itsy bitsy. It's overall on a planetary scale. The psychiatrists have invaded every other country long ago. They don't need to put an army in there. They just go in there and evaluate everybody and tell them, and then program, because you must remember this is how it works. Let me explain to you how it works. So it's a puppy jumping onto the medication. Right? It's medicinal. It's apothecary, but it's evil apothecary because it's coming in like that. Because of the propaganda, you think, okay, I need this. And then I say, this is what you need to take medically, and this is what treatment you need. But it's made out like it's for your physical health, but it affects your mental health. So if a person gets injured or if something occurs that alters that person's physical being, which is an invasion of privacy, how you want to put it, then it's a form of conquering that person. So pharma conquers the body you know, like using this weapon, or yeah, or however you want to describe it, then it becomes a psychiatrically induced. It's not the psychology. Psychology is like MK Ultra, you know, but no one did anything to me. Well, that's different. But now there's medication involved. And then there's this whole wave, which is going to come now. This is really going to come out now, because I spoke about it a few months ago, is that now they're going to start talking about people that have lost the plots. People are a bit crazy. It's people like you that are stopping us, helping everyone. And that's really all the kind of weird kind of Nazi stuff's all going to come up.
Yeah, it's interesting. It does help if you understand that there's this program running, you know, then you can look at it. You don't have to have it on top of you or have it as you. You can be like, okay, you can point to it, you know, you're not being it in a sense. I just want to ask the guys that are watching, have you got, there's anything that you want to reflect on, or was Rob and I just kind of chatting about what we know and what I've known about him, but have you guys got any questions or any reflections or thoughts? Or Gail or Yolanda, you want to comment on anything?
No, not actually at the moment. I'm listening and observing. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's quite a saddle to sit in. It's like riding a dragon. You got to sit tight, right? You got to learn to ride this wild ride. It's a bit like Gandalf in that scene, hey Rob, that you were just watching in Lord of the Rings, where Gandalf faces the necromancer in that huge cavern and he says, you know, you shall not pass. And that's it. It's like an absolute knowing that aspect of reality is just not going to come past. And then at the last minute, it takes him down and takes him into his next level of initiation. And he comes back as Gandalf the White, right? He goes through a death process and like an upgrade. And in a way, I think that's what we're going through on the planet. I mean, just trying to think of that guy's name. I can't remember right now. Zach Bush, I think his name is. I know, Rob, you might not say this, but he says we're bringing this apocalypse on ourselves because we as humanity are so done with our current version of ourselves that we are like saying, okay, we're done with this. We need the upgrade. You know, let's bring it on until we have a greater version of ourselves. So we're forcing this this crisis and this ending in order to get to our next level of initiation, because that's the ascension. Absolutely. We need absolute adversity. It's like, you know, when you've got a hierophant initiating a being into kind of like a Christhood, you could say, you know, they have to go through their deepest, darkest death of the self, you know, deepest, darkest night of the soul. And as humanity, in different ways, we're being forced into that. Each one of us in different ways, you know.
I must tell you something, Amanda. I had 3 visitations with like meetings. There were meetings with beings not from this planet. They pulled in, like I said, and whatever, and 3 meetings, because I discovered something about what was ruining man. Discovered that in the United States. Flew back to South Africa, and it was very dire, like a very hardcore reality of people on this planet have been mentally implanted with the idea that they know. So when you go to them and you tell them, you know, did you realize, you know, there's something funny going on? They go, oh, no, I know. Oh, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Because I think they already know. So the problem is now you've got half these people. That's the thing that divides down the middle. Like the cure, it divides down the middle. And the one side has the comfort of having an implant of saying, oh, no, you know, you guys are liars and we know the truth. So they have had an implant in what they think is the truth.
A truth implant. I remember you speaking about that.
Implant.
But it's not truth.
What do you do now?
Not truth implant.
Yeah, it's the truth implant in your mind. So now there's no more. It's so now you come along and you want to say, hey, listen, don't you want to analyze these facts? Analyze these facts? No, I already know what I know that you're talking crap. You know, I already know that what I know is actually correct and what they are saying is correct. They implanted to actually follow mainstream information is correct information. So that's like a real bugger that makes it even harder for all of us. Yeah.
And who takes that implant out? Can I ask you?
Ooh.
Is that one of your sessions, Rob? That'll do it.
And you can see here on this, I have all of the stats here for the prediction of the truth movement that I did last night. So I'm just going to read you some of them.
Okay.
On Games Effect 1, it was the time was 45 minutes and 25 seconds. That is when I wrote out time, place, form, and event in exact consideration and said, right, there you go. And that's 4525. 45 is, if you add it all up, it's like 17 on the clock.
Interesting. Wow. No mistakes there, right?
Yeah. Or 452 6. It was 24 seconds, 25 seconds, 26, 27, 22, whatever. So on those seconds, it just as it was written. Is that right, Next? Just check this, that my calculation's right. So it was on there, and that was the goal of man. And underneath, if you look on the video, it will be on the board. The goal of man, and under there, it says truth, and then da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then that was on Games Effect 1. And then, okay, the first challenge was on Magical Return, which is the prediction of Trump and the Melania and everything. And that was Magical Turn 2022. So that's fine. And I'm very excited about this year. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I've been waiting my whole life for this stuff.
Yeah, many lives.
Yeah, some of us have been waiting, just waiting. We are not really doing anything. People get so angry. I said, yeah, of course you get angry. I know you're angry. I'm also angry. I'm furious. My blood boils like volcanic lava in the flipping, just boiling because I just want to do something. I want us to have more in our lives. I want us to, you're just waiting around for people, for help to get itself organized at the top. And then, yeah.
So, Rob, what's once Truth Social is on and there's a platform for truthers, you could say, what do you see as happening next? I mean, what are the next steps? What do you think is coming after that? Or what is the work to be done after that?
Just rephrase that question.
So you're saying that the Truth Social is kind of the next big thing that is coming to give all the truthers a platform. So I'm just asking you, what happens after that? Once that is in motion,
yes,
what else do you see as coming down the pipeline? What are the next steps for the truth community?
I see, I've been looking, good that you ask, because I've been looking. So I see I see the states united. The states united. The mission to unite the states. Without on social media. This is our state. Our state is like our country. It's like where you live. I mean, I live in the Western Cape. It's a state, but it's like my country. This is my country. You realize that. How do you want your country to be? What do you want your country to be? So the states united it has to. And I'm going to be advertising this. If people are not, to try and, because the idea is that we need Alabama to be Alabama, and we need this state to be that state, and we need, we need each state to be, so they have to realize that they are not actually, they are something that needs to be self-governing. So that's going to be the social media. People are going to have to start realizing it's not just this generalization. Oh, it's just America. Well, but really, what's America? America is all these states. And the states are like, have some kind of allegiance to DC. So they're going to, it's going to come out that DC itself is the troublemaker. It's the troublemaker amongst all these, that the agreement that the states united cannot be if DC is the troublemaker. The source of this dissonance that they themselves say we are causing, or they can say what they like, but they are the hand behind the sort of invisible hand, and there's constant arguments and discrepancies, and they just can't seem to get to the truth. All these congressmen cross-questioning Mr. F, the small man, the midget, the mean midget, who's sort of doing the cure thing.
Yeah,
they keep on asking. They ask and ask and ask tirelessly. Them, hundreds of thousands of hours of microphones and idiots in suits. It's an asshole show. They're just a bunch of assholes, all of them. They're being paid big money to sit there and have this long and winding conversation and never really get so many questions and no answers. No, I don't recall, or I can't quite remember, or that might have happened, or yes, but we're still thinking about it. Really, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that's going to happen. And other things, just ask the question once again.
So I'm just interested in what's coming after that. So once there's the unity, so Truth Social with all the voices, I'm just interested in, like, for example, what is your games effect for? Like, what are you putting into motion in terms of what it is that we should be doing?
We are going to okay. The games effect shows you we are going from not know, from realizing actually that we do not know really anything. Like we then, and that's why we're so controllable. Okay, of course we've been prevented from that, but now we're going to find out how much we were prevented from ever knowing anything. How much we really prevented in medicine and engineering and all these fields, and science and technology and development and spirituality. We've been completely blocked. They've shoved a huge cork in there. No one on this world, no one is allowed to walk the earth here and speak truth, whatever. He gets crucified. They crucify a person that comes along and says, hey, I can actually, I can't really die. I can resurrect when I want to. I can snap my fingers and create a couple of miracles around me. And it's like, oh, no, you're not. Sorry, boy. We actually think that we'll just assassinate you. And that's what's happened. They've assassinated people. There's a long list, a very, very long. It's going to be a hall of fame. In the future, I see statues in America of the truth movement, of poignant times in bronze, like you have George Washington on a horse, la 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 la, whatever. Oh, well, yeah, okay, good for you, George Washington. But now we are fighting as tough a fight as George was back then, or as some freedom fighter was. Like in South Africa, we had freedom fighters. There's some people, they really were true, and they weren't just terrorists from like sort of like George Soros type people, because that's also stained. George Soros stains the truth movement. He corrupts it and infiltrates it, and it bleeds into all over, and it starts to become muddy, and then there's nobody. It's like in the 60s. It's like, we need to pull apart this truth movement. How do we do it? It's like, George, do you have any ideas? Yeah, let's pump LSD 25 in there, man. Come on, let's go. And then all the bands and everything that are playing music and trying to like give people the idea that war is so bad and terrible and whatever, and we shouldn't be doing the Vietnam thing. But then you end up with them going backstage, and they got the beards and the earrings and everything, all this hippie stuff tied out, whatever. But meanwhile, they actually work for the C__. A, and then they're out there dishing out all this free stuff. Yeah, take it, it's free, man. Hey, we backstage with friends of yours, and then they're friends with all the band and just infiltrate this entire, and then they collapsed to the truth movement from the 60s. And now this time, see, they have their own mechanisms, but they're going to find it very tough to actually influence us. I just want to let you know, Amanda, on the last time that we did a Q thing, which is quite a long time ago, that was actually on October the 22nd. Last time we spoke about Q.
Yes, that was at October 17th. I think on the 17th we did it, the symposium. Yes. That's right.
Yes. I had that was the time when we spoke about Q specifically on that. You said, what is Q? You asked me the same question. And that question was answered exactly. There was a golden Q that pops up at the exact moment where I'm telling you what Q is. I explain it to you, and then there's a little golden Q that pops up next to my head. And that exact question and the exact answer fell on 37:25, okay, which is 17. So it was 37 minutes and 5 seconds.
That is amazing. I can't believe it.
Exactly. Just exactly on that time.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that is incredible. And it's actually 46. It's not 45, 46:25. Yeah, I did make a little error on my Games Effect One board. It's 46 minutes and 17 and 25 seconds.
Okay, perfect.
I have to do a video of it, so that's why I'm reading it off the laptop. I've got to stick it on a video, but it's just great that you got it, Amanda. You're actually the first person on the whole of the internet that has realized that things can be predicted. You know, it's possible, and also that they have been predicted. Nobody even knows that this thing being predicted. Nobody knows that. I don't know.
Yeah, and that you've been doing so many wonderful predictions, and I do think that there should be some more space to maybe, just hear. Maybe we can take a little bit of time now just to hear about some of your predictions, because I know you haven't. You've been so busy with your work that you haven't managed to. I don't know if you want to talk about some of the things that you saw coming that have just come about. Would you like to talk about that now in the video? Or would you prefer to, like you had one on Tutu? I don't know if you want to. Do you want to share with us?
Yeah, sure. Tutu I actually had this thing going, and it's going to sound a bit strange, but I had this thing going with Tutu for a long time. Most people don't know that. How would I know? I knew it because I was actually one of the people that was helping, kind of keeping him in an sort of hanging around, waiting for him to give me something. I became aware of him before Corona started. It was somewhere, whatever this, I should actually say this word. That was like 2019, somewhere around 2017. I became aware of him.
What did you become aware of? Because a lot of people don't know anything about.
Okay, well, he's the archbishop of the country that we live in. So he's the kind of guy who's the top honcho, and he's the spiritual guide with the guiding hand, and he's very famous, and his friends is Nelson, and it's lovely, and he's part of this, truth thing, because he did the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which is this fancy word for people who can just gush out all of the bad crimes and the terrible things they did in apartheid, so they can be forgiven, and we can all have a tea party and go home. The problem with Desmond is he was kind of in charge of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was really just a complete load of not really was. So the thing is that there's a lot of stuff that's happened back then in South Africa, part of our history where the country changed over from here to here. And that little thing was done in a kind of a George Soros way. And that's why Desmond was kissing and hugging and everything, the Queen's grandchild the other day. Why were they kissing and hugging the Queen's grandchild's grandchild, child of the whatever? I don't know, whatever, one of the siblings of.
Yeah, I think, I just want to jump in while you're in the middle of that story, because I think many South Africans, we haven't done a lot of work on breaking the news around, you know, the bullshit that's been fed to us in South Africa. But I think that, you know, many people are still buying into this, the Nelson Mandela savior story. And it's been a hard, it's been quite a hard bitter pill to swallow, to understand that that was not quite the reality. Yes. I know a lot of people in the Q movement understand that Nelson Mandela, he was actually replaced, wasn't he, by another Nelson Mandela, who was more financeable, and he became more of an asset, you could say, of the cabal. Yes. And that sadly, because I was the one who was backing the ANC and going to all the rallies and voting for Nelson Mandela, because I thought this was the greatest thing that ever happened. And it was terrible for me when all of the sort of the reveals started, that in actual fact, this was a controlled movement, very upsetting, that, you know, Soros was really funding this whole psyop. And I mean, I know that it was a psyop because of the fact that I live at one block from where Nelson Mandela lived in Houghton. And we actually, you know, the Nelson Mandela that died, he was a replacement. I mean, I know someone personally who knew about that. He was actually a replacement. Was it in prison that he was replaced? Where was he?
Yes, it was because he spent 50% of his life off Robben Island, so he was already replaced by then. So the intelligence house where he was kept, where he was allowed to sort of have meetings, and people came and left, and he had his own chef, and, you know, he had people looking after him and providing him. There was lots of meetings that took place over 17 years. You know, he was there. So he was on Robben Island for a short time, but that's when the switch over happened. So, because he was a man of integrity, actually, which is true. So people are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's really so unfair what they did to us. They did something so unfair. And then it was actually Soros and the Rockefellers that wrote out the check for the ANC $70 million check, $70 million. And then that meant that the Rockefellers could control South African media. So then, of course, we got the story in the end of their kind of narrative, put it that way.
And that was also controlled through China, wasn't it? Were the Chinese the kind of like the dragon families and stuff like that? Were they involved?
The Chinese dragon families are like I said, what I said, I don't know if I said it on a video, but if I didn't say it, you'll just have to trust that I did say it. Remember, because I was carrying on about the dragon, the red dragon, beware of the red dragon. And that was it's actually a biblical prophecy to do with the head, like the beast or whatever. And in the East, there is this red dragon, which is and then you have a white dragon, but in the end it was just okay, hold on, Nikki's reminding me here.
Then we found out that the red dragon is actually the shield for the Rothschild.
Yeah, were you talking about that on one of your recent chats? That was something about Roth. Who was talking about that? Was it you? Was it your truth chat, your create truth chat, where you were talking about Rothschild, Rothschild, dragon, the red dragon?
I don't know.
No. Okay, that might have been a super soldier talk that I was listening to, who was talking about that, but it's something similar along that line. The dragon, the red dragons and the Rothschilds.
Yeah, and what it is it's the cartels That's what I said, is that it's the cartels that in the Far East, very, very dangerous. These people will serve your head on a plate if you say, if there's one thing out of I mean, they are so furious. There is a group of assassins in the Far East that specialize in
Heads on plates.
Oh man, triad, yeah, the triads, the triads of the East. They are so ruthless. They're like kind of MS-13. Is that what they're called in America? That gang. The guys with all the tattoos all over their neck and all over their body. MS-13. Those gang members, all those tattoos all over their body. No, that's crazy guys that Mr. T was running after. Because the MS-13 are in business with big, in business with them, because they run the black market and so if you take the largest control, the biggest big daddy on that one chat that I think you heard him, man, the biggest big daddy that's out there.
Yeah, who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy? And we know who that is. I just
Big
said
Daddy. Yeah.
That's the $1 trillion.
The oil dealers, eh?
Well,
it's linked to oil.
No, that's the real Big Daddy, because the oil is.
Sounds like we can play Pictionary. Sounds like karma with a.
Yeah, sounds like karma. Big karma. That's a good one. You know what? You've done it. Big karma.
Right, I know.
That's the $1 trillion mind-altering noose. It's the chain that, and it's done with illegal apothecary, right? Where you can go buy it on the street. And so what they did was they engineered it so that all of their product that hits the street that is illegal is kept illegal in order to control the world, because then people can buy their own product, whatever, and it doesn't have to go through the World Health Organization or whatever, or the CDC or whatever, health or whatever. It makes very, very good money, so everybody wants to get involved in it. And so they can have people at the lower level, the very, very degraded beings, these degraded spiritual beings, they're able to fashion a lifestyle that's very like hip hop, man, with the gold chains and the crystal champagne. You've seen those videos, and that's all Mr. Soros's videos that pump out around the world with the hip hop and the rap music and the gold chains and all of that.
And who would have thought? I mean, and so just as like a bit of a round topic to get back to Desmond Tutu, but so just this understanding that there's this back side of the system that we are unaware of, and then there's this front side of the system which we kind of just get sold to us.
Yes.
And
I have another drop for you. So the prediction I did with, it was remote view. We all did it. It was with Julie B and Gene Decode, and it was to do with the Africa Dums, and then we had great success then. Human Resonance went off the charts, and then I put out a whole lot of decisions for it to be for things to be seen on the outcome, and I love things to exhibit themselves in the media afterwards. And sure as shit, Charlie, 2 weeks later, whatever, ENCA news channel blighted a story of child T, the child starts with a T, and how it was happening with the 5 largest government hospitals in the North Province of our country, which are massive hospitals named after freedom fighters. And they were in business with Nigeria, which is exactly between Nigeria and South Africa. And this link has to do with child. And also, so it came out, that's what they said. They said it's Nigeria, they're going to Nigeria. And then there was also $20 million worth of cocaine that washed up on the beach in Jeffreys Bay.
Oh no.
$20 million worth, something like a huge.
What?
Yeah. And we had the person came onto a voice chat in Mandarin and told us she lives in J Bay. She told us.
No, $20 million of cocaine.
We could have had a party there.
Seriously?
And, I mean, doing a lot of illegal drug busts, because it's all into the drugs plus this, plus whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was something else oh yes. So in the Far East, you got the cartels, right? And they're over here, and that's who really controls everything. And they've got their own tattoos, their own insignia and everything, and the dragons. You always see the dragon on their back, like they do in the movies, Hollywood. Huge dragon down their back. All you have to do is just pull their shirt off, and you know who they are. And they're like, well, whatever, But then in Africa, we have something that's the same as the dragon, as the triads in Far East, is we have something, and it's known as black axe.
In South Africa. In South Africa or Africa?
Africa.
In Africa, the black axe.
All of Africa, the African Union.
Wow, I've never heard of that. That's so interesting.
Yeah, very.
Who are they, Rob?
They are the incredibly satanic, evil. You have never seen.
And they're funded by BlackRock.
Yeah, they're funded, by
Black Sun, Black Dragon, all those.
Known as a Black Rock, by something known as a Black Rock.
Black Rock, Black Dragon, Black Sun. They're all together, right?
On the stock exchange. Yeah, stock exchanges fund gangsterism and terrorism, and where the core is, the core of this entity is, it's all black magic, and this is if you really want to sort of see something for yourself, like actually see it, you'll see it with Black Axe, because they're very overt about it, like extremely overt, not like the Far East guys are. They're very overt, to do with black static beings, possession. They have an initiation, a whole lot of initiation processes that go to the very. You wouldn't want to go there. I'm just warning people: do not go there. Do not remote view them. Do not do anything like that. You will get into trouble so fast. It is so dangerous. They are just ruthless. And when you understand the word axe, it's like they kill people in the street in broad daylight. They assassinate them. They'll just chop them with an axe. Okay, it's like it's barbaric. It's hardcore violence, hardcore. And the more violent it is, the better it is. The more violent.
You'd think we had gotten a little beyond like medieval times, but no, doesn't seem like it at all. You'd think we'd grown a bit beyond that. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
So, but Rob, now getting back to Tutu and how you were tracking him and how he came into your awareness. So he came into your awareness in 2017. For what reason? Like you just noticed that things weren't quite right.
Yes, well, it was because Q really started up in 2015. That's for me. That's when they sort of turned the power up. You could feel the power rising, like the sort of pulling down the handle and the power level going up, and the spiritual perturbation began around the world. This thing of this anticipation, and it was just as Mr. T was coming in, and where that big usurp was going to happen. So I thought, I'm not doing the right things with my life, like I was working to set up a business for this time that then got wiped out by the ANC. Yeah, I was in business with the city of a small business I had set up internally with the city of Cape Town, and because I've been commended, highly commended twice by the city with our mayor, the mayor that we had back then. So I really was able to set something up, which was gonna, you know, for local employment and whatever, just to help. You know, it was part of what was needed and wanted. I was being a great citizen, and I helped to put out fires in the mountain that got me commended for. You know, I raised 250,000 rand to and put it towards the disaster management. You know, I mean, Cape Town, our mountains are very important. It's actually Table Mountain that was busy burning down, and Signal Hill was burning down.
I remember it was terrible time. Terrible.
Enormous fire. Yeah. For 5 days. So the thing is that, you know, I was trying to do that, and that got taken out. And then, so once, what was I? So I was going to use this thing to change my life, so I could get set up for this change in history, which we are now in. But then that didn't happen. So then I ended up. But at that time, because I was struggling with all the stuff, I knew I was on the clock. I only had so much time. I had to come up with something quickly that could give me freedom, so I could get onto YouTube and you know, like participate. Yeah, what's it? Sorry, Mix. And Mix is also, you know, I get little messages. What's it, Mix? Yeah, in the public eye. Yeah, I really wanted to play a part. Like, you know, I mean, Amanda's been around for a long time, but I haven't been in front of the, you know, in social media. I mean,
you've been famous in other realms.
Yeah, well, yeah, I wanted, and I was waiting for this my whole life. Before this life, I was waiting for it, and so now finally it was coming, it was arriving, and then you know, what am I going to do? So now at least I'm on YouTube. There are people that help me, and I'm able to do amazing things. So this is to do with Tutu. So yeah, so in the end, it was a sort of message that I got, because I'm a spiritual being, you know. I'm not a human being. Forget that. Human to me is irrelevant. So it's like 2%. You know, I'm not going to give 2%. You know, of you know, that's about as far as it is. So, and then
2% credit to the human.
And attached a link to him because there was somebody I knew emotionally that knew him, that knew him. Back then for years, just someone who had known him for years, and what I was able to jump from them to him, and then I found him. It's like an emotional link is like a bridge. So you know, you have it, and you'll notice it even if someone's a remote viewer, or if they're clairvoyant or something, they will hold the emotion, and then it just jumps. You jump from one, you use that emotion as a bridge. It's like sort of jumping along a rainbow. And whatever frequency is on that rainbow, you just follow. It just leads you straight to them. And then, and I think you've got there with the constellations.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you've made that work for yourself, and that's very mysterious. And you deserve a gold medal for that, because you're showing people that there's this eternal emotional link between beings and families and associations where there is affinity. So will there be a road. You know?
Yeah, ride the field, the rainbow. That's right.
Right.
The chords. So
Yes.
so you found him and you didn't like him, is that right? And then you kind of put out a little thing on your channel saying like, why don't you come for tea, Mr. Tutu?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you. Something like that.
Yeah, that's right. And he said to him, you better cough up, mate, because you're, you know, truth and reconciliation. Because he knows things. It's not like he did stuff. He didn't do stuff. He's not guilty of commission. He's guilty of omission. And that was when maybe a year ago, I said, this is an invisible war of omission. It's really what people haven't done. They've, you know, rather than what they have done. Oh, I didn't do anything. Okay, but then what have you done? Absolutely nothing. And you've got the money, you've got the billions, you've got the Gulfstream jet, you've got the oil, you've got everything. You've got all the money, the power, the connections, the everything. Huh? You're able to influence other people. People will do what, follow what you say and what you do, and whatever. And these billionaires, all they do is serve self-service, service to self. They just have these huge portfolios, all this money, and these investment, like
because I heard that there was some nefarious deal done in the background, and the thing is that I guess why I am interested in your work and also helping other people to do more of that is because of the direct access to knowing, because especially in this climate, it's so important, because otherwise everything's just hearsay, and you can just be completely blindsided by a whole lot of hearsay. So, I've heard via someone else that, that he did not, I don't know whether I should say it on this video, but just that there was something very nefarious that he had done in order to keep his position. And I don't know, Rob, if that's something that you saw about him, or if there's anything in particular that you can say about that, or you don't.
Yes. No, I can.
Okay.
He knows. He had information of how the ANC got into power before apartheid changed. He knows what they did there were a tiny little group of people, like you could fit them in the palm of your hand. And suddenly they went from very small to very big. And there was a message that went out 10 years before the country changed. The change of power to another, to the main party that's been ruling with an iron fist ever since. An iron fist, as well as a very greedy, whatever type thing, like greedy, corrupt. And they knew 10 years before, there was a signal that went out that to what we call the Broederbond. The Broederbond were just a group of people who were working very hard to run the country, but they were doing a good job. They were building the country, building hospitals, doing everything for the indigenous populations, the more indigenous or sort of African. I mean, we are European Africans, and they were trying to lay it. They built a very strong foundation. The country was literally like a first world country, South Africa, putting it there. And, there wasn't really as much violence as what people said there is. The most amount of violence was black on black violence. And that's what's been hidden from the past of how this tiny entity called the ANC became this monster, because it was done through violence. It was done through killings and murderings and using things like tires, where you pour petrol on tires and all sorts of and pouring 5-liter cans of petrol with gas through someone's window. If they said that they weren't, the community leader said, listen, we're not with you. I don't see any, I don't know you people. Like, who are you? Oh, you don't stand for us, do you? Well, we can do something about that. So there was a lot of that thing that kind of went on. And hey, yeah, so that got sort of, you could say, covered up. And then they just used whatever they got onto television. Whenever the cameras came here, what changed the country, they say, was that the media came with their cameras from overseas, the British guys, the American guys, and filmed everything. They were filming everything all the time. And then they would give an impression of what was on the mainstream media. And us guys in South Africa, who were the white people, saw this and then believed all of it. We believed the press. So we were also subject to the propaganda that was already predetermined, worked out, scripted, and said, film this and focus on that and focus. I have a friend who was at Sharpeville. I have his coffee table. That coffee table was at Sharpeville. He was there with everybody. And he told me exactly how it happened and what happened. Sharpeville's like this, it's the name of a place in South Africa, if nobody knows, where there was a showdown. There was a huge riot and there was a lot of students involved. And there was a lot of people who died there, not a lot, but, people who died. And there was a drama that went on there, like a significant drama that was quite, yeah, and it became like it got marketed as a massacre. But it's a long story. But the very few people were there who actually got interviewed, and he thought he was going to get interviewed. He thought, well, I was there. I mean, I was sitting there trying to like deal with the situation, and he could see who was actually petrol bombing who and who was attacking who. He kind of was there. So now, and then nobody wanted to know his story. Nobody wanted to say, no, just basically covered it all up. So he's one of the original people that were there long ago, in 1970, whatever, 2 or something, whatever it was. He actually was a Rhodesian policeman. That's really what he was. He was like this guy, you know, and he was like a kind of a ranger. And he's a very nice man and a very sweet man and a very, you know, cool guy, like a really decent. And he was like not anti anything, but he was just doing his job, you know. So he saw what went down. There's a lot of stuff that Desmond knows about on how they manipulated, and that essentially became, that's why this whole communism thing was involved with the ANC, because there was all this agreement and the money was coming from a certain source and they were allowed, you know. So it's just, so that was what Tutu knew about and was suppressing information, didn't want to tell people what he knew because he felt it would hurt the party. It's like the party line, and it's like in the CCP, it's the party line, you know. And oh yes, there's something else. And then of course he knew, because he really was a poor person, Desmond. He came from like genuine poverty. But then of course that should give you a much tougher backbone on being honest and trying to really to heal the wounds of like South Africa, you know, what damage was done. And he was representing God. He was the authority, the spiritual authority, or the symbol of, he was like Mr. T, you know, but for the spiritual communities all across the country, he kind of represented all of us actually in a spiritual way. But you would think that he would have applied what Mr. T is applying right now, which is the exact time, the exact place, the exact form, and the exact event of what occurred exactly, and what the truth was, regardless of whether it was popular or not, regardless of what mainstream says. Let's find out the truth, and then get the microphones and bring those men in, and let's have it. Let's be straight, and let's really find out what's really going on. But he had to hide an agenda of Queenie, because Queenie puts bishops into power. Queenie,
real Queenie, Buckingham Queen.
Yeah. So
can you give us any intel on her?
She surrendered. Got to get my dates right now.
A long time ago. Hey.
Okay, this is obviously, well, I haven't done a video on this, but I'm sure it might not get out far enough.
Have you got a prediction of her date of when she's going?
It was no. Well, that doesn't really matter when she goes. What matters is that she surrendered her constituency. Her constituency was surrendered in 2019. Okay, it doesn't really matter if she lives or dies. It's irrelevant. The world's
that was when Trump walked in front of her in the visit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Symbolic,
that's right.
telling everybody. Yeah.
Yes, it was done. So that was a signal. It was a signal. Q signal there, and yeah. Then in her Christmas speech. Okay, wait, no. Christmas is December. So now we have to go November. Where do we go to with the Queen? I think it's 2019 November. We go to November the 11th. November the 11th, 11/11. Westminster Abbey. I've been there. Westminster Abbey. Been to the grave of the unknown soldier. Westminster Abbey. Who arrives on the 11/11 was Charles, Camilla, and a whole crowd of other people. You know, the usual entourage of royal, whatever.
The royal reptilians.
Yeah, but Queenie wasn't there. Where was Queenie? Queenie arrived, didn't come on 11/11. That's the signal. She comes on, so I'll just hold the puppies just.
Taking apart your lounge in the meanwhile.
Puppy interruption. The Queen arrives at the grave of the unknown soldier on 8/11. Okay. She goes by herself. She's alone. Nobody else is with her. She's totally alone. She arrives alone. She goes to the grave, she puts this thing down. There's just a bishop guy, whatever, standing to one side, just sort of quietly.
The Queen and the Bishop and the unknown soldier.
The unknown soldier. And she's never done that before.
Could almost shed a tear, but I don't think so.
Because it's like, yeah. And that was the surrender. It was out of character for her. And then you go click, 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 click past the 8th when she leaves quietly. Just doesn't make a speech. Nobody's there. Yeah, it was out of tradition for the. But then it goes forward, and then it gets to the December of that same year. And then in December, she gave a Christmas speech. In that Christmas speech, there was a code in the Christmas speech that also is a signal. Yeah. When she told the world, so she said, it's been done. Like, I've surrendered my constituency. It's all over for me. I'm just waiting around to die, basically. You really, we'll just, that's it. It's done. So she sent out that message, and I'm going to put it on a video where, like, what the code is in the speech. She specifically worked the speech in such a way that she mentioned a certain thing that linked up to the grave of the unknown soldier. And the thing is that that's what it is, because these unknown soldiers are as a result of her. As a result of her and how they, she's there's
so is that, would that have been, I mean, where, like, if this is the chess game, the 5D chess game, I mean, do you think that's not checkmate, right? That wouldn't have been checkmate. We're not there yet, are we?
No, we are.
Like, we're not quite there.
Yeah, there's something.
There's a few moves left, right?
What's that? What do you call it? I keep forgetting the name of it. When you come to a marker in the road, a land, what's it? Not a place where you've got to reach, and then when you get to that point, you then walk further. A milestone. Milestone. Yeah. So March. March. It's all in March. First quarter, March. Always been carrying on about that. So that's when we start to arrive. Tell America that we have arrived. We're coming.
Okay.
Tell the
Is that
world
Q?
we arrived. Yeah.
Q's coming in.
Q's coming. Right. Get the world to tell us that we have arrived.
All right.
Get America to tell us that we have arrived. And that's it. That's actually what's going to happen, because then we are going to get, and then it's going to all be all, there's a concatenation in that poem in Mix. Can you pull up the poem for me? It talks about the power of the East meeting the West, the power of the East and the West.
That was an amazing video. Wasn't that your, the one with the black swan?
Wow. Magical Return 2020.
It was amazing, that video, seriously.
Yeah. So the power of the East. Yeah, sorry.
With that poem at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. A concatenation has been created. The domino effect, the house of cards. Click, 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 click. It's all going to start happening. And then the change, this massive change will be 2020 and 2023 will be the huge turnaround, like this. Huge, you think of a huge ship that's turning around. It takes like 20 kilometers, 20 miles in the sea to like turn itself around. And that would be, it's agreement. And then our illusions that are constantly being scratched down all the time and broken to pieces and invalidated and bashed and like whatever. It's our illusions are going to be stronger than theirs. We're going to build because you get illusion. Like I said last night to this guy in Canada, you get illusion, and their illusions, of course, like illusion, counter illusion. And then eventually our illusion is going to be bigger and stronger and bigger. And so it's just going to start growing and growing. It's never going to stop. There was this epiphany that I had, like this image, it was in the remote view of May 2020, of this gargantuan social media network that I thought was a Christian network, like the new Christian church or the new something. I thought, well, I don't know if it's a church, but it was like it was a platform, like Facebook or something, but of people that were in agreement with the power of God, with the phenomenon of God, with the aligned with the will of God. It's all about the will of God. Thy will be done. But tremendous, huge, massive, the biggest social platform in the history of the world. We think Twitter and Facebook are large. We think they're large. They're not large. They're not large. This is large. It's like real power, like hundreds of millions of people, and that's just the first wave.
I see it like a wave. I mean, the way that I see it is it's like suddenly this timeline is coming in, and there's this wave that's just about to break. This wave of consciousness that's like that tipping point has been reached, and it's just going to come over. That's what we've had to hold the line for, essentially. Hold that consciousness for long enough for that wave to break.
Okay. Let's play. How then you're going to read it to him?
No, I'll just okay.
How then you're going to read it to him?
Well, I'll read you parts of it here. I'm going to play it. Have you got the volume up?
No, you don't want the volume. It's music.
I know. I like the music. Nice. I like it. That's why I put the Just hold on. That's why I put the genie in a bottle, like kind of a genie in the bottle theme, with the incense coming out of the. Yeah, because
yes, it was all very mysterious, that video. You guys have to watch it. Have to go back, go onto Rob Mercury's channel on YouTube and watch it.
So that's just a poem. You can't hear it or see it properly, but it's on there. And basically speaks about this man that's hot-blooded, and obviously that's Mr. T, and emissary of the wisdom of Maitreya. Maitreya comes from the east and is actually the wisdom of the Himalayas. The wisdom of the Himalayas is like a non-terrestrial power that influences the planet. It came
the masters of the Far East that are now in the Far West.
Exactly. Because they're different. They don't run with materialism in the East. They're all about spiritual, life, and they're all very humane towards each other. They really don't have to be controlled at all in their tradition. The tradition of being your brother's brother and not your brother's keeper, just like what like 107 says. And that's something that we're going to learn. We think there's no new influence. There is a new influence. There is going to be new influence. There's going to be new feelings and new emotions. And this is something that's going to be experienced rather than spoken about. You're going to have a huge experience. It's going to,
yeah, and we could feel that, I think, when we did our work just before you came in, that experience of that wave of truth coming in.
Yeah.
Very you can't put words to it that easily.
Yeah, and that's what Orients to Occident is. Orients to Occident is from the east to the west. That's what it really means. And then the man, the borrower of the magic wand. Mr. T, borrower of the magic wand. Okay.
It's not his.
And it's not his. It doesn't belong to him. It belongs to X-Force. X-Force is the Intergalactic Expeditionary Force. You have a lot of people ranting and raving about the galactic this and this, Dick, Vol, you know, whatever. And
Don't be.
and at the end of the day, who gives them that power? Where do they get it from? Where are they? What is the source of? It's a military. It's a naval military operation. You will notice that Navy, like I said before, Navy. These beings, because I've had a meeting with them. It was not a remote view. It wasn't remote view. You know, sometimes people think, oh, it's only remote view. No, sometimes you literally go there yourself. You go there and you amongst them, yeah. And they are the holders of the magic wand. You will notice that this year will come out a naval military influence that no one can explain. Where does it come from? And even Q is going to show you that there's this naval military, highly organized group. It's not going to be Army or Air Force or Space Force, you know, it's Space Force, but the Space Force, space opera is what X-Force is, Expeditionary Force, Intergalactic. They handle stellar galactic clusters. You know, we're not talking, one galaxy is like just one whole portion area of this universe, of what you know, the known, what we call a universe, which actually isn't a universe. They call it a finite pancake that's floating around, that big banged itself into existence. That didn't happen. It's actually every galaxy that is a universe, but nobody knows that. They don't know the truth of everything. They sort of, let NASA explain to them. Each galaxy is a universe. That's the truth.
It's one too many pancakes for us to get our heads around.
Yeah, man. It's just, you know.
They manage a lot of pancakes, you could say.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know where I was. You must help make sure I don't forget myself.
So yeah, I know. I can't remember either. we were on Maitreya. And the poem, and you know, kind of, I don't know, we were kind of ending up on with the Queen and the ending of her reign and the message.
Yes,
and also the last, you were talking about the last few milestones of what is to come, and this poem of yours is something to do with one of the milestones that indicates one of the sort of last few things that are coming, right?
Yes. The concatenation is a spiritual horsepower, spiritual power. So you're going to get the Far East, you're going to get the Middle East, you're going to get the whole of Asia. That's why that I said that we were going to find the spirit of Maitreya, which is 500 BC. A prediction of what was going to change the world. Because there's beings that can that resurrect all the time and go through a system without being able to be caught. It's like a kind of a catch me if you can. Like,
and who's this? Is this Maitreya?
Yeah.
That
being
keeps.
Of Maitreya.
So who is Maitreya going to come back as?
The spirit of Maitreya is like a fire above the head.
Okay.
There's fire above there's a fire above his head. He's hot-blooded.
Is this Trump?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So Trump is the spirit of Maitreya. So the thing is, it's like the Holy Spirit. So because the one thing about the West is very West. And the West is so separated and so small. It's such a small part of the world, really. I mean, what is the West? It's a collection of, you know, it's all about materialism and middle class, BMW, pushing the lawnmower, Saturday Night Live, Hollywood mentality. That's the West. And it was a collection of countries, a few in Europe, Australia, Canada, America, there's a lot of power. This planet is much bigger than we think it is, much mightier than we think it is. And so all of this Far East, Middle East, and the whole of Asia and Europe and South America are all going to join in with True Social. So we're going to have the spirit that we're going to see the East meeting the West in a joint effort to crush. So the whole world is going to join in. So you must just think of it in terms of vastness of people, Indian people, and just there's so many.
Wow, that'll be incredible.
People that are not like us that we are going to meet now for the first time. We're going to feel them for the first time. It's not just going to be predominantly Americans or English speaking, or whatever it's going to be. Putting up with all these different other people.
Wow.
It's going to be very beautiful. We're going to feel emotions that we've never felt before. It's going to be an explosion of spiritual. There's going to be the energy, you know, whatever. Just the whole
that wave. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wow, that's amazing.
Very good.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think, Rob, we should probably say good night. I think that that's a lot for our viewers to take in, a lot to digest. And of course, you know, people are going to be looking at your YouTube channel, and we'll put the links at the bottom of this video. And also Rob has got a wonderful Telegram channel, Rob Mercury Chat. And he does wonderful talks, late night talks that you just want to be a part of. Seriously, you just really want to be a part of it. They're just so incredible. So yeah, I encourage everybody to join in on the ride. It's a fabulous one, being together with Rob and Mix as well. And yeah, we just love you both, and thank you so much for your leadership with your boots, with your wings that we can all try and fit our feet into and follow in those those flying boots. Shoes
boots in the sky.
The boots in the sky. Yeah. And that we'll all be flying up there, you know.
I just want to say that I will make a video, Amanda, which I will give to you. I'll just do the excerpt out on the truth prediction, and then just put the dates and everything, just organize it so that it just jumps, it's got the right sequence or whatever, and then I will send that to you or whatever. And
wonderful, that'll be great.
Wherever you like.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you for showing one of the few people, one of the very few people that has shown interest in asking me questions and organizing stuff like this you've done now, and it's been very productive, actually.
I promise you, Rob, you are so loved. I'm not one of the few people. I just am one of the first people, but not, it's just, that means nothing. Thanks to Jean again for finding Rob for us. But yeah, you're just very, very loved.
And then just so you know, the prediction with Kirsten W is confidential. So I ended up saying a few things. I posted something on the site and then I left it. And then I spent 4 days and then I got it all quite quickly, actually. And then I sent that to Jean and said, right, it's been time stamped. I'll wait till everybody works it out. And then when they've worked it out, you know, with respect to her and her family, and we have to do that, and my safety as well. And then what I'll do is then we'll just put it out and say, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't
in true Q style.
Yeah, sorry.
Future proves past or whatever. You've seen the truth. We'll prove it at some point in the future when the time is ready, right?
Yes. And then if I get some more stuff in, you know, I haven't gone this far. I just need to make some videos and get it out. And then, okay, when I've got it out, then I'll relax and get a bunch of fresh things. I'd say thank you for all. It was nice chatting to all of you. Thanks for inviting me to this. I guess it's quite long, isn't it, Amanda?
Yeah, Q Village. Very nice. Thank you for helping us put it together.
I forgot to tell you, for interrupting you. Sorry about that. I'm going to be doing a Q decode. To me, it's massive. There's no one on the internet who knows this. That sounds a bit bombastic, but I really think there isn't. The only person who knows is Jean knows. But no one else knows. I told him and he said, oh yeah, and yes. And then, yeah, the moment I said, well, you know, this is, yeah, I know what it is. So G knows what it is. I know what it is. I'm going to put it up, I think, very soon, because for January the 17th.
Wonderful.
Then people will say, oh, yes, of course, that's what we've been doing it along. So it's right here. You can see it, but you can't see it. And so I'm just going to do that. It's a small thing, but to me, it's personally highly significant.
Okay,
Highly
fantastic. So
yeah,
we look
and
forward to that. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And thanks so much, Rob and Mix and little crazy Jaws Spartacus dog and everybody else that's watching. We love you, and we'll see you all again soon in Q time.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.